It's as if someone gave me a pair of glasses and I put them on, I could suddenly see the world for what it really was and all of the things that I had done to myself and that I was doing to other people as well. So it was that taking responsibility and claiming my power back.
Welcome to the Soulful Reminders Podcast, your go-to spot for spiritual inspiration, growth, and connection to your true self. I'm your host, Emily Kady. Each week, I invite inspiring guests to share their unique spiritual lessons and insights, helping us all remember who we are at our core. This is more than just a podcast. It's a vibrant community where we'll explore how to unlock our full potential and embrace our essence in every aspect of our life. Life can get busy and overwhelming, but here, we focus on those soulful nudges that remind us of our incredible power. Whether you're seeking wisdom, a bit of encouragement, or simply a moment of inspiration, you're in the perfect place. Grab your favorite drink, get cozy. Let's dive into this journey together because you deserve to shine your brightest. Welcome to the Soulful Reminders Podcast. Today, I am so excited to have my dear friend that I just met. Well, I've kind of known you for a few months now, but we actually got to meet in person. Cecilia Maitland Heriot. She is such a precious person. I'm so excited that our paths have crossed. Been online friends, as again I said, we've known each other for a few months. We've known each other kind of, never talked, but online through a group that we both are involved with. So just a precious, precious gem of a person, and she has lived a life that is beyond words. I don't know how she's endured what she's endured, but she's gone through so much, and she graciously opened up her heart and shared so much with me and is willing to share it with you guys today. And I am so grateful, Cecilia, for joining us. Really quickly, Cecilia gifting is that she helps people awaken and activate their Kundalini in a safe way. And I just think it's so magical. And that when the way she was sharing how she works with her skill set and her gifting and helping people awaken their Kundalini was so important to me, because I am all about not just waking up the Kundalini all of a sudden and just causing just shock to our entire nervous system, to our minds, to everything. And to do it in a safe way is so powerful, because so many of us want our Kundalini awakened, but knowing that it can be done in a safe way is so powerful. So Cecilia, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for opening up and sharing your heart with my audience and sharing your story.
Yes, thank you for having me, Emily. Such an honor to share my story, and I really hope it can help inspire people. And thank you for mentioning this fact about the Kundalini activation maybe not being safe sometimes, because there's so many schools out there that are doing Kundalini activations right now. But as you say, they're just forcing the energy to flow, and that energy can be extremely powerful, and it needs to be done in a gentle way with a lot of care for the person and respect for the energy. So thank you for that introduction. When I first met this methodology, I knew it was my path, but when I tried going to sessions and receiving myself, I wasn't convinced that it was being done safely. And so I set myself on the mission to find the right way to do it, which is incorporating grounding, clearing, and protection tools, which I believe are essential for it to be a safe practice, as you said.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And what brought me here, you mentioned my story and all of the challenges that I faced, and that's true. I can say that I started off with, in a quite a rough environment ever since I was a child. I don't believe I told you this, but I was partially deaf in one ear,
You
and
did
I
tell
kept
me that.
yes, and I kept hearing this. I had tinnitus, or what was diagnosed as tinnitus, and now I realize it was just spirit trying to come through. But then I had surgery. However, let that put me in disadvantaged at school. For example, I was thought to be very different. I was thought to be rebellious when really I couldn't hear very well. And interestingly enough, I had an identical twin to whom I was always being compared. I grew up in a violent household as well. And so you could say that I developed a sensibility ever since I was a child. I was exposed to these very challenging situations. And that got me curious on different healing modalities because I was looking for answers. Why is it so hard? Why am I feeling different all the time? And so I had this curiosity ever since I can remember. And I did develop it, let's say, in my free time. I traveled to India when I was young on my own at 21 years, studied Reiki, and really started discovering the spiritual world. However, I did feel the pressure to go into the mainstream world and become an engineer.
You know
My
what? I don't want to
family,
interrupt you, but I'm going to just kind of little tidbit. I too had a learning disability growing up. All right. So I sought out as different, but I also want to say in my late teens, early 20s, I didn't go to India to learn Reiki, but I went to massage school to become a massage therapist. And I also had that pressure to go more mainstream corporate America. So I left my passion behind to go mainstream.
yeah, I feel like so many of us, we already know or we feel it already ever since we're kids, what we love, what we're attracted to. But we're trained to believe that that's not a way to actually live, that we need to do one of the typical mainstream careers in order to be successful in life. And so we're discouraged very often to follow our passions, even though I believe most of us, we already recognize them as children. So, yeah, so I found myself in that situation and I ended up ignoring that side of myself, that sensibility, that curiosity. Went over to study engineering, become an engineer, a project manager. And I followed the steps that were expected from me. I got married, I bought the house. But eventually I found myself miserable. I was feeling very anxious and quite lost. And just wondering, is this it? Is this life? I ticked all of the boxes. I did my best, and I'm still feeling quite lost. And that led me to an addiction to alcohol. I was drinking quite often. I couldn't meet other people without drinking just because I had this sensibility still, but I was ignoring it. And it was just inside me, just raging inside me and trying to get me to listen inside and connect with it again. But I was ignoring it and
Can I,
numbing it
so in
out.
that, yeah, so in those moments, I think this is really important to unpack a little bit further is you had this sensitivity, you're calling it. So you're not connecting with your authentic self, is what I'm understanding. Is this correct what you're saying?
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Okay, so you know there's something in there, but you don't know how to allow it out with still connecting with people around you.
Exactly.
So at this point, you're turning to alcohol so you can connect, you can numb out.
That's it. That's it. I was
How was that feeling for you? I'm just curious, like if you were to go back into that self of like feeling like that rub. To me, it was a rub. There was just this rub, like I'm lying. I'm a facade of who I am.
It was so ingrained in me that I didn't even realize it was a facade. I just thought, I'm just an anxious person and just accepted it as it is. It's just, my destiny to be like this. The fact that this kind of facade I had built was so ingrained, was already such a part of myself. I didn't even realize it wasn't me. I didn't even realize that I should actually be doing things that bring me joy and that will allow me to be fully free. I just thought, these are the conventions and we're all supposed to follow them. So it actually felt quite natural at the time because I didn't know any better.
So it felt natural, yet you were turning to alcohol.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you
Yes. That's
pinpoint
my body
why you would
freaking out.
turn? Yeah. So what was the alcohol you were numbing out, but you weren't even in tune why you were numbing out?
Yes, it just, you start drinking maybe when you're in college and you're having fun. And so to me, I was still doing it, or I was convincing myself that I was still doing it as a part of having fun. But really it had developed to the point where I was craving it every day. And especially if I was going to have to meet people, I felt the need to kind of consume alcohol to feel more relaxed and to numb out the nervousness. So I didn't realize how it grew with time. I was still thinking, oh, it's just part of having fun in today's society.
I find this super fascinating because, I got to spend a few days with you and you're very social. You're so like comfortable in your own skin. And when you told me that you were turning to alcohol and had to get drink to be able to go out with friends just blew my mind because that's not who I know. Like I know you as somebody that doesn't drink and is totally comfortable with yourself and with strangers.
And I realized that's who I am. I'm actually an extrovert, and I love being with people. But at that time, it's because I didn't even know who I was. So how can I put myself in a group when I don't know what my identity is? I don't know what my boundaries are. I don't know what my interests are. And now that I've actually accepted and learned to love myself, truly love myself, and accept all of these aspects, even the ones that I feel like I need to work on still, I feel much more comfortable meeting people. And especially now, I'm much more, let's say, I have a much more clear idea on what the type of people I want to surround myself with. And so it's the type of, I choose the people around me now very consciously. And it's people that share maybe similar experiences to me, or that have that goal to improve as a person, to evolve and to heal.
Absolutely. You know, the people closest to us are the ones that influence us the most. So I have this rule, I call it the red carpet rule, that anybody close to me, they have to be exactly what you're talking about. I have friends that are outside of that, but I want people that are going to lift me up and be along the same lines as me of wanting to have, you know, the betterment for ourselves and for humanity and whatnot, and not somebody that's going to bring me down in a
Yes.
constant. Yeah, it's so important to protect ourselves and our minds and those who influence it. I love that.
Yes,
And
and I feel like it doesn't necessarily need to be someone spiritual, but
no,
someone that is, you know, that is willing to evolve and to heal and to listen to themselves and to, yes, I guess to be that better person that they can be is the most
I,
important thing.
I agree 100%. So what brought you to the dark night of your soul, like your spiritual awakening? You know, we have these dark night of the souls because what we've been doing no longer works for us, and our soul is like, it's we're done. We're done playing small here. And this facade of now you've become an alcoholic. What took you to your spiritual awakening and going through the dark night of the soul to get you to where you're at now?
Yeah, so it was that context already. I was an alcoholic. I was working so much, high stress job. And I moved to another country, and just I feel like spirit was just pushing me to the limit so I would reach that point of the dark night of the soul to have my awakening. And so just everything would seem difficult. Everything would seem like I had to row so much to get there, like I was rowing against the current, and just things started happening, unusual things, and they just made it so difficult for me. And at a certain point, I started having panic attacks. And this one panic attack was so strong that I thought it was a heart attack. And I thought like my chest was about to burst. And I got really, really scared. I really thought I was dying. And so at that point, I realized, okay, I need to change some things in my life. There's something that is not working. And I decided to go back to my spiritual side by starting to do Reiki on myself and meditating every day. And so I did that. I meditated every day, sometimes twice a day. I did Reiki to myself every day. And eventually, I started perceiving things that I never perceived before, such as the aura around me, the auric field, energies around me, even light beings. I started noticing little stars and what looked like shooting stars around me, and I didn't with my eyes open. So I thought I was losing it at that point. But then I decided I needed to reach out to someone that could see beyond, like a medium or a psychic medium that could help me understand what was going on. And they explained to me, you're having your spiritual awakening. You're starting to perceive spirits, and you're starting to perceive the auric field around you. And at that time, it wasn't only the visual, let's say, effects, but it was also such a strong catharsis of just all of these built up emotions. I was crying a lot. I was just having all of these realizations of everything that I had created in my own life, because we create our own life. And so I wasn't taking responsibility for any of it until I had the spiritual awakening and I realized I am the one who is doing all of this. And so it's as if someone gave me a pair of glasses and I put them on, I could suddenly see the world for what it really was, and all of the things that I had done to myself and that I was doing to other people as well. So it was that taking responsibility and claiming my power back. And so that
That's
changed
an
my life.
amazing gift that
Mhm.
you were able to basically give to yourself by starting to like reconnect with your spiritual side, to see like the trajectory of your life and how you were going down the wrong path and how you were misleading people too, it sounds like.
Yeah. No,
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
So
And
what was that like when you noticed that? Was that like a slap in the face, like I have to change?
yeah, it was the biggest slap of my face in my face ever. I suddenly felt like there's so many things in my life that I need to change, so many people that I need to reach out to and say sorry to, so many people that I need to just release and let go. So my life changed so much from that time onwards. And I was in a relationship, I was married, I had my husband. And that relationship also got affected because suddenly we were not in the same frequency any longer. I was taking responsibility. I was out of the victimhood mentality. I was curious about this. I was evolving. I was learning. I was joyful for the first time in my life.
I'm so happy you said that because that was my experience in trying to help people understand when you decide to take responsibility for yourself and stop being the victim, the amount of joy that fills your body is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
like
it was
everything
crazy.
gives you joy.
Yeah. I would wake up in the morning with a smile, just so eager to live that day and to see, let's see what source has for me today. Like, wow. Or let's see what I can create today, right? Because when you understand that you have that power of creating a reality, you realize I can create amazing things. It's not only, the things that before you thought you were creating that were negative, and I don't think anything is negative, but that were maybe heavy or challenging for you. But you can also create amazing things for you. And suddenly a whole new world opens up in front of your eyes, and you realize I can do whatever I want and be whoever I want if I want to. So
Right.
it
When
was
you let
just
go of that victim, like it's a subconscious conditioned and pattern way of thinking. And when you are able to recognize that's how I'm thinking and you let go of it and you take responsibility and you apologize to those that you've hurt, and then you see this whole new way of life. Like you're saying, it's just fun. You can create anything.
anything. And you realize it's not only this lifetime, it's so many lifetimes and so many dimensions. And then so you start worrying about the small things, and you start seeing things from a higher perspective, and you realize it's not that serious anymore. This is kind of like a game. We're in a type of show, in a Truman Show sort of, right? And so it also takes that seriousness and that heaviness out of the everyday life. And to me, that was a game changer because I tended to be so serious about life and just trying everything has to be perfect. And I was also scared of stuff. And then that just took that edge off and allowed me to really shine my true light without being too worried and without having too many expectations any longer.
Okay, there's a few places I want to go right now with this, but I think I'm leaning towards if you're open to sharing about the work that you have done on yourself since your awakening and how it has impacted some of your personal relationships in such a beautiful way.
Certainly. The first thing that I feel called to mention is finding a mentor you feel called to, because it's a journey and it's all new, or rather, you're remembering all of this. And so, having a guidance in that, I think, accelerated my spiritual awakening a lot. It helped me a lot to have clarity and to have answers and to guide me in the right direction and to also help me discover myself, right? Discover what my
Yeah.
purpose was.
I totally agree. I hired a mentor, a spiritual mentor, when I had my spiritual awakening because I was in a downward spiral after mine. It's like the Kundalini awakening. Why I'm always so concerned about people wanting a Kundalini awakening is it's like a house that has no walls or foundation and the roof
Mhm.
falls. So I had my NDE, and after my NDE, that's like a full-on spiritual awakening. That's a Kundalini awakening.
Yeah,
And you come out and you know what it's like in the spiritual realm, and you come to this 3D realm, and this density is so like limited and scarce, and it just my life totally crumbled. And so I had to hire somebody to help pull me out of that because I did not know how. So 100% agree with you. To have a spiritual awakening, the safest and the best way to do it is hire somebody that you connect with, whether it's somebody like Cecilia, myself, or anybody else out there. Hire somebody you connect with that's aligned with who you are.
definitely. And someone that has gone through the process so they can understand what you're
Oh
going through.
yeah. Well, they have to have gone through the process. Without it, yeah,
Right? Because it
yeah.
can be so daunting, and just having someone telling you, you're good. It's it's scary, and but you're gonna be good. Hang in there. There's gonna be some changes, some transitions, people moving out of your life, new people coming in, but you'll get there. And it can't all happen at once. And this is also one of the reasons why any spiritual awakening that is spontaneous can be quite dangerous, is because it suddenly releases you of all of your limiting beliefs, your fears, your trauma. And sometimes we attach our identity to those things. And so when all of that is just erased in a second, suddenly you lose your self identity or your sense of identity, and you can get really lost. So doing that in a more gradual, soft way is important. So you can slowly adapt to these new frequencies and release all of these beliefs and fears that had limited you before.
Thank you for saying it that way because that's the dark night of the soul. That's exactly what it is. And I've never heard it explained that way, and that's so perfect because you're right. We are separating from these limiting beliefs, and there's grief involved.
Mhm.
There's people that are going to come out of your life because, like you and your husband, you weren't on the same frequency anymore. Not that you were never, you entered at the same frequency, but you shifted and he didn't evolve with you. And that's okay. That's his journey.
Yeah.
But that's very painful for us in this 3D density. There's a separation involved, and there's this, great grief involved here on this earth
Yes,
plane. Yeah.
definitely. It is a grieving period. You have to go through that, and it's part of the process. So it's also welcoming that grief, knowing that it's the first step to you moving on to this new self, this new frequency.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you've moved on to this new frequency, and there's been people that have been removed from your life, and you have new people in your life. I do want to go back to the mendings that have happened. I think that's
Yes,
really powerful. Are you open to sharing that? If you're not, that's okay.
absolutely. No, I'd love to share this story because I think it's a very powerful story. Me and my identical twin. We competed with each other a lot. We were very different in what we were looking for in life. She was very conventional and traditional in her ways. And she followed, let's say, all of the conventions by the book. And me, I was always kind of questioning them and traveling to India. And I was, you could call the black sheep of the family, as I feel like so many people probably that are listening to this are as well. And me and my sister, I know from readings with mediums, we were colonels of opposing armies in different lifetimes. Or this is at least the energy that we hold, if you don't believe
Yes,
in
I'm getting
past
confirmation in the
lifetimes.
spirit on that. That's pretty intense.
Yes, and I could feel that there was always this rivalry between us, but also deep admiration, because we're
Mhm.
both very I would say, like, strong-willed and ambitious, and we want to do what is right in our own way. So we always had a very intense relationship, but we never quite got along, as many identical twins that, usually they're very close, whereas we were enemies. And so that energy of the opposing armies, or the colonels of opposing armies, was still latent in this lifetime. And what happened is I realized I will never be complete until I accept her as my sister and I amend the relationship with her. And so one day I called her and I said, Connie, I'm really sorry for everything that I've done that has caused pain and all of those times that I was angry at you that you didn't understand why. I realize part of my mission in this lifetime is to amend my relationship with you. And I feel this deeply in my body. And I feel that we can both get a lot from amending a relationship. And my sister was in shock. She couldn't believe what I was saying. But after a while, she took that in. And I recently came back from Holland, where she lives. I was there with her for a month. And it's as if something magical happened. We were truly sisters, hugging probably for the first time in our lifetime.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I think this is such a powerful story, and that I just have goosebumps all over my body. As hard as it is to go through this work, the reward far exceeds never going through it. Just that story alone demonstrates it.
Yeah. Yes, I feel it's all of these things that are heavy on us. Wherever you see friction in your life, that's something that is calling your attention, right? And so, whenever we feel uncomfortable, this is spirit telling us there's something here that you need to look into. And that's what my sister's relationship generated. I was just frustrated that I couldn't have a closeness with her. And so, I've been really thankful for realizing that whenever we have this fear or wherever we're uncomfortable, this is really an invitation for us to look into this because there's something there that would allow us to evolve. And so switching that from the previous view, which was, oh, this is just challenging, this is difficult, to, wow, this is an invitation for me to evolve, I can get something amazing out of this, has also helped me a lot in my spiritual advancement.
Yes, I love that. It's so true. It's like in America, we call it triggers. I don't know if you call it triggers in Italy. Yeah, we get triggered. And when we are triggered, exactly what you're saying, it's an invitation to see what's going on inside of us so we can evolve and heal it, heal those painful wounds. I'm so grateful you shared that with us. I don't know if you want to share the other or not. If not, that's okay.
um would that be with my
Your
father?
mother. Oh,
Yes.
I was thinking your mother, but your father
Oh,
too.
my mother. Yes. I mean, as I said before, I came from a quite a rough childhood. My father who was a violent person, and my mother who was a a very narcissistic person who literally had never held me or told me that she loved me in my life. I felt like she always felt very threatened by me because I was very different and I was questioning stuff while she was trying to do things normally. Um, so with my mother, it was also a realization that I needed to amend the relationship with her. We had always been we had always had a very tense relationship, never got along, and it was very quite difficult. Um, and what happened is, in that case, I was listening to Dolores Cannon. I love her teachings, and she suggested this meditation or this ritual, if you want, that you can do to get rid of karmic contracts or those burdens with people in this lifetime that you might be carrying from past lifetimes. And so I did that both for my mother and my father. And with my mother, after I did that ritual, but I did it with full intention, and it's just so important. Just intention alone, that's really the essential part of it. And next time I saw her, she told me that she loved me for the first time. She told me, Cecilia, do you know that I actually love you? I was in shock. And it happened in parallel to my sister. So I know that that was the event, was me wanting to release those karmic contracts with these people, just tear them. That's what you do in this meditation. And I was just in shock. I couldn't believe the 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 speed with which I could see the results already. The fact that my mother, she also embraced me and she told me that she loved me for the first time. And so that was such a big confirmation confirmation that I'm in the right path, and I'm helping clear all of these things, also probably from our lineage that are carried. With my father, he passed away, so I couldn't have the physical, let's say, confirmation, but just the sense of relief and of forgiveness that I have and compassion that I have for him. It's also confirmation that I've been able to release all of this karmic contracts and just clear them to make sure that they don't have to repeat themselves in the next lifetime.
Those stories are so powerful, Cecilia.
Mm.
I often tell my clients how when we're clearing these contracts and karma with people, having forgiveness when we can't really forgive, but when we're able to do that, it's really having impact for 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And you're seeing it firsthand.
Yeah, no, that's it. And it was just immediate. I released it, and then there was a shift. There was an immediate shift. And I spent also time when I was in Holland for a month with my sister. My mom was there, to the point we even shared the same bedroom. So that's something we would have never been able to do before. I'm not going to tell you it was all roses and like laughing all the time, but there was by no means the same energy and that same frustration and anger that there used to be before. And again, she showed her love to me for the first time. So it is a confirmation. And I feel also understanding that we've had these relationships with these people in many lifetimes, most likely, especially the people that we have very close to us. And so understanding that maybe in a past lifetime, we were the ones hurting them. And so it's not, we tend to see things only in this very short lifetime of ours. But really, it's just if you realize, why am I carrying this, or why is this happening to me? You might come to the conclusion, maybe I did this in a past lifetime. That also helps, right? Not feeling you're a victim, but rather it's just the universe wanting to find that balance between the relationships.
Absolutely. We're not always that perfect little person that we think we are. And to get that different perspective that we could have been that villain uh,
Yes.
to those that are now maybe the villain for us. Your story is so heartfelt, and your vulnerability and your willingness to be raw and real with yourself is so inspiring, Cecilia.
Thank you.
Thank you. It means a lot to me to hear this and to see how your life has transformed. I know I didn't know you before, but just to hear it is just so
Yes.
powerful and impacting your loved ones. Um,
Thank you. Thank you for witnessing my story. And I like to share it because I feel, it can help so many people out there that are maybe feeling stuck or lost like I did, and to have hope and to follow their inner guidance, and to have this search, and to take responsibility also. That will bring them so much joy. So I really hope this can help people that are finding themselves in a situation like I was before.
yeah, and I want to touch on something too, because your relationship with your mother has shifted, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, like you said, it's not all roses. It doesn't mean your boundaries you have healthy boundaries moving forward,
Yeah.
but that energetic stronghold has been dismantled so that you can have a healthy relationship when you are together. What is that correct? Is that what it's not like you guys are now all of a sudden bonded.
Right. I mean, it's not like we're going to be best friends, right? Because we're still different people, and we look for different things. And we might have friction every once in a while, but that's also part of being human, and sometimes losing your patience. We're not going to be like in a super zen energy all day long, or some people achieve that, but generally it's quite hard. And so understanding that it's not only a matter of always doing like being perfect, but allowing yourselves to sometimes be more human. And sometimes you will be more human and you will feel things and you will react and then regret it. But knowing that as long as you're just evolving and you're improving, that's okay. It can take time. It's not like we become um, uh, Buddha in one day, but rather forgiving ourselves and just having patience with the process. And so I know that for my relationship with my mom, it was an incredible starting point. I'm mind blown at how effective that was. Of course, there's still going to be, we're not going to be always agreeing on everything, but it's also having the patience and that flexibility and understanding that change doesn't happen from one day to the next necessarily.
Right. And the only reason I bring this up is because some of my clients I work with, there's a lot of mother wounds. And there's, this, in some cases, codependent relationships. And it's scary to let go because it's your mother. You love your mother, right? But I want to reinforce with where you're at now with your spiritual awakening. And now I'm speaking from my experience. So I'm going to say, you can agree with me or not. I want you to share your truth. But to as you go through the spiritual awakening and you're shedding people from your life that no longer serve you, or mending those that was, fractured, you are now whole. Yes, you go through a human experience, but for the most part, you are whole, and you know that you don't need those people to bring you joy or happiness.
Yes, I fully agree with that. I fully agree. And I think we all have a common purpose, which is kind of finding ourselves and trusting ourselves and finding a way to be joyful and complete on your own. And this can be a little bit triggering because maybe when you're married, you feel like you're complete with your partner, but I feel we all have the capacity of finding that completeness within ourselves and learning that we can take care of ourselves as well. So that also takes the weight out of other people. So just as I was saying before, it's that taking responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
And when you have done that, you will have much more wholesome relationships because you won't be dependent on the other people, or the other people won't be dependent on you. You're just going to be centered and just have that more, I don't know, that relationship that will help you grow more rather than exhaust you because you're giving your energy away. So there's also a component of the trust that the universe just wants what is best for us. We've lost that trust on that uh, goodness of the universe. The universe is always trying to give us what is best for us. So sometimes we just need to get out of our own way and allow that to flow and to come in, trusting that even if it's difficult, it's for our highest and greatest good. And so I feel like that's a very important component that has helped me a lot in having that trust that I can take care of myself and I can be complete on my own, especially after the separation with my husband, whom I loved deeply and whom I always thought was complementary. But now I realized this is such a great opportunity for me to really find myself and explore this of that completeness within me. Also trying to heal the masculine side of me. So yes, I fully agree with that.
That I want to also touch on because you touched on early on about leaving or having the spiritual side of you and being in corporate America or the corporate world. And I know I've been there before, and it's very hard to bridge the two. I'm curious to hear about your experience and what has evolved for you here.
Yes, it was such an interesting experience because at the beginning I thought my spiritual side will only have conflict with my corporate side and my mainstream side, let's say. And what I realized is that my spiritual awakening and that increased intuition and connection with my highest self has also helped me in my engineering job because I have such a strong guidance and intuition of what to do in every situation, who to talk to, what action to take, that even my corporate job has become easier to me. I'm a project manager and I just know things that nobody can explain. Like people are just so shocked how I remember things at a certain time or how I just like nail it in what we were looking for. And I realized my spiritual awakening has helped in every aspect of my life. Not only my spiritual practice, but every aspect. It has helped me in my day-to-day routine, even just going to the supermarket and not feeling, let's say, vulnerable to everybody else's energy. It has made everything easier. And yes, I could say that maybe staying in the corporate world is not my lifelong objective. I feel like now I have a calling to use this Kundalini activation modality and to bring it to expand it as much as possible. But the transition out of it, I believe it's going to be easier because I already have these tools. And so I believe that whenever you're going through a spiritual awakening and you're still in that corporate life, know that you can use those tools even in your day-to-day job. You know, see your boss or your colleagues that sometimes can be they can be stressed or angry or frustrated or whatever they're coming up with. See them as an opportunity to evolve as well. You know, it's easy to be zen and to be let's say grounded when you're meditating, when you're in a group of people that are very awakened spiritually. But then the real challenge is to do that when you're on your day-to-day job. And so use that opportunity for your highest and greatest good to put yourself to the test and evolve those qualities.
That is incredible advice. Amazing. When I was in the corporate world and had my awakening, I was not nearly as evolved as you. So I wish I had heard this advice back then. um, but I wasn't meant to stay. My soul pushed me out. I got laid off, and I knew I got laid off because I was misaligned with where I was at. So, but if I had received this advice from you back then, I probably may not have been laid off because I would have been able to develop my spiritual gifts in other ways.
Yes, everything is an opportunity. Everything is an opportunity, and it's just going to be easier for you if you just don't see them as separate things. Your spirituality is everything from the moment you're eating something to be present in a moment to the moment you're having a difficult conversation with a colleague or a client. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like in the corporate world, that's where people with higher frequencies or that are spiritual awakening are most needed because it's those environments that need those higher frequencies the most. So um, I believe that a lot of people are awakening now, and their purpose is going to be bringing these frequencies into those realms that um, didn't used to have them historically. I mean, you know, ideally, we want to have spiritual people in every profession all over the world. So if you're feeling like you don't know which one to choose, know that you don't necessarily need to choose one of them, but you can integrate them.
I agree. And I think, some people, they think, oh, if I have a spiritual awakening, I have to have a spiritual profession. And that's not necessarily the case.
Mm-mm.
Like, follow your passion. Some people are attorneys or teachers, or, they're in the corporate position, they're C-suite level executives, and they're passionate about it. But like you just said, bring that frequency in and see how things can evolve and
Mhm.
really change, because we've been operating in this toxic masculine energy for thousands and thousands of years, and now the divine feminine is coming in, which is going to help the divine masculine, so there's going to be this beautiful balance of energy that we can all work in harmony, and that's where it starts with us,
Yes.
and bringing it into the corporate world or wherever wherever we feel called.
Yes. And I think we're getting there, not only from an astrological point of view, but I feel even there's this coming back of the divine feminine energy, and we're looking for balance. And so I'm really curious to see how this will evolve over the next few years. I think big changes are coming in that sense.
Yes, I believe it. I see it. So before we wrap up, can you share a little bit, Cecilia, about how you help your clients? Tell us a little bit about your Kundalini activation, and also how people can get a hold of you if they want to experience this.
Sure. So In my Kundalini activations, what I do is I do activate the Kundalini energy, which many people might not know is just our vital force. It's a very exotic name to say, to call our vital energy, which we all have. So I want to start by saying that the Kundalini is not only limited to people that practice yoga every day, because there's a little bit of that thinking, oh, this might not be for me, but really it's our vital energy. And so what happens is that that vital energy can sometimes be blocked in our body because of trauma or conventions from society, unexpressed emotions, all of these things. And so it doesn't flow easily in our body. So it's born from the base of our spine, the Muladhara chakra, the base chakra, and it should come all the way up and release from our crown. But because of these blockages, sometimes it just gets stuck in certain places and it's not able to flow freely. So, what I do that is different to other schools is that I remove these blockages to allow for an easy flow rather than just trying to force that energy up, which can be very, very hard for the body. So, I remove those blockages and I do stimulate the Kundalini energy to flow. But then I ground, clear, and protect the people before and after the session. This way, we can make sure that people are not left energetically open like it happens in many other schools, but rather they're protected and we clean their energy field as well. And so I would say this modality really helps to anyone who feels like they have a lot of trauma or unexpressed emotions. They're feeling tired, maybe suffering from insomnia, have pain in the body. um, I would say it can help increase anybody's quality of life, really. It can also generate an increased awareness and presence, connection with your intuition and your highest self. I've had people going through a spiritual awakening because of this modality, where they start opening up their clear senses as well. And so it's a very powerful modality. And again, it's really important that it's practiced in a safe way. And I believe my school is the only one that is currently doing that. And if you want to learn more about this, you can look me up in Instagram. That's my main account that I use also to advertise for any sessions that I'm offering. And it's at innerwild.healing.
Wonderful. I will also drop your link below so people can just click on it and check your Instagram out and start to follow you and hopefully get a session. It just sounds so amazing. I know last night you had one near me. So Cecilia is visiting from Italy right now. She's in the States we were just at a retreat together. And so she's about to head back to Italy, and she had a session last night near me. Unfortunately, I was unable to make it. I was so bummed, but one of our other friends from the retreat was able to go, which I think is wonderful. Uh,
Yes. Yes,
so
and I just want to say I do sessions online as well. Originally, I was just doing in person, but there has been such a demand for online sessions that I'm going to incorporate that as well. So, regardless of where you are in the world, know that this practice is still effective if done online.
wonderful. I didn't know you could do it online. That's awesome. Yes. You don't necessarily need to be in person one-on-one. So I love that. Thank you. Now, Cecilia, as we're closing up, I would just love it if you had a message for the audience, any of the listeners out there that maybe going through a spiritual awakening or maybe having issues with their family, whatever comes up for you. If you could share a message for the audience, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, I believe the message that I would love to leave the audience with is you're not alone. Sometimes it can feel very lonely, uh, especially when you're feeling lost and you've tried to do things the right way and you find that that really doesn't bring you happiness. So just take those few minutes every day to connect with yourself, go inside yourself, check in how you're feeling, and ask for help from the universe and from your guides if you feel called to. They're just willing to help as soon as we call them. And so remembering that and just, if you're open, willing, and ready to receive that help, that's something I always recommend doing. It's helped me a lot. And I think things have started to flow since I was open to receiving that help. So just taking that time to connect with yourself and your guides, with source every day, will really help bring clarity to many aspects. We have the answers inside of us. We all have the answers. It's only that sometimes it's just hard to reach them. But when you dedicate that time to yourself, you will have much more clarity. And it's also a precious tool to learn to honor your true self and your true essence.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cecilia, for joining me today. It's been such a privilege and honor to have you here. I appreciate your genuine, raw, real self coming forward and being vulnerable and real with me and my audience. I know that you've touched my heart, and you inspire me greatly. And I hope that our listeners today are also have lots of golden nuggets that you have just delivered and are able to have that same inspiration in the soulful reminders of who they truly are on a soul level. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor for me to be invited by a person I admire so much as you. So thank you so much. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions, or if anybody wants to reach out and wants to learn more, I'll be happy to hear from you.
Awesome. Yeah, reach out to Cecilia if you have any questions, or you can also leave them in the comments below and she can respond below as well. So, and listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I hope that you were able to receive so much inspiration from her. And I just ask that you just keep shining your light bright. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Soulful Reminders Podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered by the incredible insights we shared today. Remember, every story and lesson we explore is a beautiful reminder of the immense potential that resides within you. As you continue on your journey, take these soulful nudges with you. Embrace your true essence and actively work towards unlocking your full potential in every area of your life. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And don't keep this goodness to yourself. Share it with others who could use this little reminder too. Until next time, keep shining your light. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Together, we can uplift and inspire one another to live fully and authentically. You got this.